What is up, maniacs, and welcome to Broadened Horizon. I'm your host, as always, Drake Riggs, here to bring you another great episode of the show. This is installment 21. Fresh off the heels of Horizon Landmark 4, it's time to get ready for a massive New Year's Eve extravaganza with the looming Horizon 40. Joining us first will be former Bellator Bantamweight titleist Juan Archuleta, who makes his Horizon debut opposite the surging South Korean Soo Chol Kim. After Juan, Horizon Landmark 4's big winner out of the main event, Ren Hiramoto, reflects on his flawless victory over Satoshi Dominator Yamasu. Then last but not least, it's the mercenary, former Bellator featherweight champion McKee, who looks to upset the reigning Horizon lightweight king Roberto Satoshi de Souza on New Year's Eve. Thanks as always to all of them for chatting, and thanks to everyone who has supported the show and asked questions for the end, whether you've been watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify. Don't forget to hit like and share if you enjoy. And a quick little disclaimer for Ren's portion of the show today, as it's going to look a little bit different and not formatted properly, as I had to record it on the road and did not have all my proper usual equipment. So that is why it is very basic and Zoom formatted rather than what you normally see on the show. So ignore that as best as you can, and along with the lack of your typical proper Broadened Horizon editing. So just wanted to point that out. Anyway, let's get on with the show, you guys. Thanks so much, as always. First up, it's the Spaniard, Juan Archuleta.
Yo, Juan. Hey. What's up, man?
How you doing?
Good. It's been a minute, bro.
Yeah, it has.
How are things? Yeah, good. Just living it up, man. Living it up.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Where you headed? On the way somewhere, I see?
I just got done with practice. I'm actually chilling with Cub. So.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, so we just got done practicing and then headed to recovery right now.
All right, very nice. Yeah, you've been a traveling man. You know, I saw you went to Abu Dhabi and then to Japan, obviously. How was that, man? Was it crazy?
Yeah, it was good. You know, I stayed active. I was actually right after my fight. I went hunting and then shipped out there, and then got the press conference in Japan, and so it was good to go out and travel and then be back and then get right back into the swing of things.
Yeah, for sure. And was that your first time in Abu Dhabi too when you went there?
Yeah, it was first time. I mean, Japan was 100% times better
than
out there. A lot more culture, a lot more history, and the environment. It was super badass.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. And what was the press conference like? Obviously different, you know, from the ones you've been used to in America and whatnot.
Yeah, for me, I mean, even me and AJ were just sitting there like, man, this is the most people we've ever had at a press conference. Like, this is insane. Like, because there was really a big crowd there, like, interested in what we had to say and, like, present or how we presented ourselves. And it was just cool to be part of that whole lineup, coming in and making history, the first going 5 versus 5, promotion against promotion. And so a lot of people are very interested in it, you know, and it's an honor to be part of that. And so, you know, to break history like that and to go there and just be one of the 5, it's honoring and humbling, you know?
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I mean, we've been talking about this for years now. You know, I remember asking you at some of your past fights and everything. It's finally, you know, getting to happen. So for you, like, what was the feeling like when it was finally offered to you and everything was official? Like, how cool was that?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's still like, it's still not believable until you know you go out there for fight week. But I mean, it's cool, you know, because you're bringing in, you're marking yourself in and becoming known in MMA history, you know, and so to be part of that, it's like that's humbling, you know, and you're just like, it's still hard to take in because the main thing I want to focus on is my performance. You know, I don't really care about the wins or losses, but it's going there and performing like I know how, you know. If I could do that night, I'm gonna set a history in the making, you know. It's performance, so that's what I'm truly ready for.
Yeah, and it's still obviously early until we get to that point, but like, do you feel any pressure because of, you know, the atmosphere of everything and, you know, the organization versus organization, like you were saying, but anything like that?
Not pressure, just more excitement. Obviously it's just like, hey, you have to win, you know, like we got to show up and show out. It's just like, well, I'm going to perform, you know, the rest is going to take care of itself. But no, it's like, I think we're all better than our opponents that we're going to be facing, and we just got to go prove it, you know. So I think we definitely have the upper hand on the talent that we faced, and now it's time to go show that, you know.
Yeah, and does it make it even a little bit more special, having it on New Year's Eve? Like, it's a party, man. You get to have your fight and then celebrate in a, different country. Like, the whole vibe of just New Year's in Japan for MMA is also a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, we're spending Christmas and New Year's out there, so it's
Right.
just like, man, my family and I are going out there, and it is special. It's something that I've wanted for, I mean, since in the '90s when the Ring of Fire and all that, Dan Henderson and Anderson and Wanderlei and just the legends that came before me that fought out there. It's like, man, one day I want to do that, and that one day is finally here, and it's this year, you know. So I'm pumped.
Yeah, can't beat it, man. And it's always interesting seeing, fighters go from the ring to the cage or the cage to the ring. And for you, like, obviously something to think about, but do you think it'll be more difficult for your style, going to the ring, or something that'll be fine or better? Just how are you assessing it that way?
Yeah, no, I mean, I, the only strange thing is going to be when like they're pushing you off the rope, right?
Mm.
Like someone else touching you, you're going to be like, "What the hell? Like, get off!" You know. But no, it's definitely going to be an adjustment. But I mean, that's where you got to be uncomfortable to get better, right? And so the uncomfortability of like training and like finding new ways to win and finding new techniques to add on is challenging. But you got to be up for a challenge when you're this long into the game, and you got to have something new to spark your interest. And right now, everything's like new to me, so it's clicking and it's like it's exciting, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I bet it's exciting to be able to, do the soccer kicks and stomps, all the downed striking. Like, is that a big excitement for you? More violence, right?
Yeah, I mean, I throw that anyway when I'm in Bellator. It's just like now I'm not going to get called for it, you know,
Yeah.
like, but I get to be a little more violent, which I like. You know, I'm the younger brother of six, you know, so it's just like I got beat up all the time and stomped out anyway by my brothers. So now I get to return the favor to people.
Absolutely, man. And you mentioned kind of some of the earlier days in Japan, the Pride guys and whatnot. Were the ones you mentioned some of your favorites, or any guys specifically that you liked watching the most?
Oh yeah, I mean the first person that caught my attention in fighting, just because I grew up with them and seen them every day in the wrestling room when I was since I was born, was Dan Henderson. My dad had we've been part of his dad's wrestling program. My dad wrestled for his dad. I mean, we're lifelong. Grew up together in his dad's wrestling facility. So it's been good, and that's the guy that's been sparking my interest in MMA and wanting to fight out in Japan. And then once he fought Wanderlei, I really liked
Mm,
that Wanderlei fight, and I became a fan of Wanderlei then too. And then Anderson and Pro Cop and just all the legends that fought out there,
for sure.
Aoki and all those guys, man. I mean, even the Japanese fighters, right? Like those guys, cemented themselves in the MMA history and became, legends in their own making.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of names you can't really go wrong with there, man. So very fun times,
Yeah.
and continuing to do great stuff over there now. And your opponent, Suchil Kim, he's been a fun guy and just had a great win in his last fight. Was an upset over Ugikuba, who's also fighting on the card. I mean, have you gotten to do any like studying yet of him and know much about him? Just getting ready for the fight, or still getting into that?
Yeah, I think he's a very similar fight to the last guy I fought, Marzola. Just, a guy that keeps coming forward. I mean, luckily I got Cub Swanson to bounce some ideas off of because he fought Doo Hoo Choi, that's like the Korean super boy. And so it's like, man, like, if I got this guy rocked with it, they're going to be zombies and keep coming forward, So, so we got some ideas to bounce off of. And there, like chipping away at them. Don't try to, if you happen to take advantage of it, but just keep take it down in one swing.
Yeah, man. And
Yeah.
One of the more interesting dynamics too about just fighting over there is, they don't score the fights round by round, so that's another kind of adjustment I'm sure you'll be thinking about, even though you don't want to go to decision anyway. But is that just how do you feel about that, scoring fights as a whole opposed to round by round? Like, do you prefer that, or will that be a big adjustment?
Yeah, that's what I was actually asking my coach right now. I said, "Hey, do they score the fight in its entirety, right?" He's like, "No, I think it's round by round." When I was reading the rules, I was like, "No, I think they judge the fight in its entirety." And then he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to reread on that because we just got the rules on Monday, and so we're looking over on the judging and everything like that." So I mean, I prefer the whole fight and I prefer the way they judge the fight because they know what they're looking into. It's like, okay, whoever puts the most martial arts in a fight is gonna win the fight, and that's what I've said for years. Like who's ever showing the most martial arts should win the MMA fight. Like, not a guy that's just playing defensive and playing counter. Like, that's not martial arts. That's just being defensive. If you're going out there showing wrestling, showing jiu-jitsu, showing kickboxing, Muay Thai, showing boxing, and showing defense and putting everything together, that guy should win the fight. Like, we're mixed martial arts, not who's landed the bigger power shots, who's almost got this guy hurt. Like, obviously damage is a key factor, but how much martial arts are you putting into that fight? So I like the rules. I like the way they judge it. I'm a big fan of the way they judge and the way they put it all together.
Yeah, man. And so with like all that in mind, like, do you have a perfect situation, like in terms of the outcome, like a type of finish that you'd want? Obviously, I'm sure it'd be fun to get one of these, knockouts with like the kicks or something that you can't get in Bellator, but do you care about that kind of thing? You're just going out there to get a great performance?
I'm going out there to cement my legacy and where MMA originated. I want to show as much martial arts as I can in this fight. I want to become, a fan favorite out there. If I become a fan favorite out there, I mean, there's no denying my legacy in MMA, and then building my name out in Japan. I mean, it's been my dream to go out there and fight and continue to go out there and fight. But first and foremost, it comes with performing.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's been quite a journey for you. And like, it's kind of crazy, next August we'll hit the 10-year mark as a pro for you, man. So like, are you kind of at where you thought you'd be by this stage? When you kind of look back on things and when you started out, is this where you were envisioning things to end up?
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy, like it doesn't even feel that long, but I'm just thankful for every opportunity that I've had and the people that I've been surrounded with, and continue to surround ourselves with. Like, it's truly humbling. I never thought that I'd be in the position that I am now, for sure, with the team that I have. Like, that's awesome, and how successful we've gotten as a team together and built together. I mean, I know MMA is an individual sport, and a lot of people say you got to be selfish, but when you got a team that we do, it's just like you have Cub, TJ, Brian, Tiki Ghost, and Paul Herrera, Joe Daddy. I mean, like, the list goes on with the guys that we've surrounded ourselves with, Joel Diaz, Felipe Del Monica, Daryl Christian, like, just a lot of, St. John Bosco wrestling team, Aaron Pico, Georgie Karakanian, like Syed Awad, like, all these guys had
long list
huge impacts in my career, that we've all worked together and built each other up and taken ideas off each other. And we all have similar fighting style. Like, we rubbed off on each other, like, our fighting style, and have improved and created a hybrid of martial arts that people get to enjoy watching today. So I never thought we'd been able to take it this, like, the idea of taking it as far as we've taken it never even crossed my mind until people like tell me, like, yeah, it's crazy what we've done. It's like, yeah, it's not what I've done, it's what we've done as a team.
Yeah, man, it is a crazy ride. And for what you have done, though, Juan, like, a lot of great moments and a lot of titles, all these accomplishments, man, and more to come. But when you look at things right now, is there a moment that you're most proud of or, happy about when you look back on the journey?
Yeah, I mean, obviously coming off your losses, like, that's where, like, you really rely on your team, right? Like, to kind of still give you that confidence to go into the next fight, because it is heartbreaking. It's like, when you lose, you feel like you let everyone down, but when you see them the next day or the next week or the next month, they just lift you up and say, hey, you got to get back on that horse. You can't be afraid to jump right back into it, and so to build each other up like that, like, it's cool. It's a cool experience.
Yeah, for sure, man. And obviously there's still plenty, to accomplish, like I was saying, but I'm just curious, man, like, is there any idea that you have on like how much longer you want to fight for? I'm sure you could go for a good long time and you don't want to look at the end necessarily, but is that something that you maybe think about at all?
No, I hate to put a time limit on anything, because I go fight by fight, and I'm a heavy believer. I have my relationship with the Lord, and God willing, when that time comes, he'll let me know. This journey for me has been all about constant prayer and relationship with the Lord, and so like I just tell him when this door's ready to be shut, just shut it, and I won't look back. So when that time comes, I'll know when it comes. Because every door of opportunity that I've walked through have shut in before, and I walk away from it. So I don't try to chase it, and I move on.
All right, so you're saying you won't be one of these guys who leaves and then comes back and leaves and comes back again.
Yeah,
so we see that a lot in MMA.
Right. And then that's why I've taken the path that I've taken, and taken the advice that's been coming my way, like, because I truly believe in the people that I'm around, and, their advice means a lot to me because they've been down this road before me, and they're just trying to navigate me through the road of less difficulty, least resistance.
Right.
So that's why I have a lot of guys that fought before around me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Makes plenty of sense. So, all right, Juan. Well, we'll leave you with one last thing here, man, before I let you go. Appreciate it as always, my man. And another big fight coming up, though, before New Year's in your fights in the bantamweight division, one of your past opponents, Rafion Stotts, and then Sabatello on the other end of the tournament. They're going to, figure things out there over in Bellator. Prediction on that one, obviously experience with Stotts, but just how you think it's going to unfold.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not a big fan of either or, so like I don't really even care who wins that fight. It's like that's not martial arts. That's just a clown show. And so I'm more interested into the Magomedov and the Apache fight. Like I'm really more interested in watching that fight than like I'll probably not even watch the Rafion and Sabatello fights. Like I don't like guys that like just run their mouth to try to get publicity. That's I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, there was definitely been a lot going on between them in that regard.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like shut up and just do, perform. Like that's all that matters,
Yeah.
So like they try to show a highlight of Rufion in my fight, and it was all highlights of me, until he got that kick. It was like, it was like whatever. But yeah, I mean, if I had to pick, I'm going with Sabatello. We're just from the same college and wrestle at the same program. So I think once he takes him down, Rufion's not going to get up,
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's interesting, man. Since you did mention, the finish in your Stotts fight, like, I've seen that as many times I have, like, still feels kind of early to me. And, having had all this time now since it, do you still feel that way? I know you kind of didn't agree at that time.
I believe I have like Mike Beltran. He's legit in the sport. Like he's one of the best referees in the sport. He knew where I was injured and said, "Hey, man, like that's it." I have full belief in any referee that goes in there. They're there to keep us safe and to live to fight another day. So I have no complaints about it. I mean, he did his job, and I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful that I took as least damage as possible. Like I know some guys said, "Oh, I wish this would have happened," but I wouldn't have this opportunity fighting in Japan if it didn't go the way it was supposed to go. That's why I have full belief. Like things happen for a reason. Money comes and goes, but experiences like this you can't buy.
Yeah, totally. Great outlook, man, and love it. So I'll let you get on with it then, Juan. I mean, very excited to see you fight always, man. But this is a big deal. So congrats on getting it. I mean, like I said, we talked into existence a little bit, man, for years ago to now, come here. So it's really cool. So
it's happening.
Yeah, man. So,
I'm pumped.
Congrats. Looking forward to it. Best of luck with everything leading up to it. The safe travels. Enjoy the New Year and Christmas over there, man. That'll be fun too. Like it's a big event, for you. So very cool. But
it is. It's history in the making, right?
Yeah, totally, man. So, all right, Juan, I'll let you get on with it. Appreciate you, man. I'm sure we'll catch up again in the future sometime.
All right. Thanks, Rick. I appreciate it, man. Take care.
Joining us now, it's featherweight bad boy Ren Hiramoto. All right, well, Ren, congratulations on the recent victory, man. Just how you doing? Good to see you here today.
どうですかね、平本さん、最近のこの勝利を、勝ちまして、今の気持ちはどんな感じですか？
そうですね。すごい、勝利して嬉しい自分もありつつ、あの、このままのトレーニングは来年は勝ち越して、一気にスターダムを駆け上がるんだっていう強い気持ちが、より勝利したからこそありますね。そういう気持ちが。
Well, I'm happy with the victory from the last fight, but more than anything, I'm more highly motivated to continue training more harder and in next year strive and climb up to the stardoms. And that's the motivation I created from this win.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And well, we saw that you just got a fancy new watch. I mean, was this a celebration gift to yourself, or did you just feel like you needed a watch? Was it something you were planning on doing regardless of the result?
どうですかね、最近なんか、かっこいい、腕時計を買ったみたいですけども、あれは勝った自分に対するご褒美ですか？それとも、それと関係なく買おうと決めたもんでしょうか？
いや、格闘家として単純な夢というか、やっぱ格闘技で稼いで、ロレックスをつけて、ランボルギーニに乗るっていう分かりやすい夢を、小学校の時から、あったんで、一つ夢が叶ったかなという感じです。
Well, I always had a dream ever since elementary school, when I was in elementary school, that I wanted to be successful as a Kaktoka, which is a MMA fighter, and buy Rolex and buy Lamborghini. So that's my dream. So, I achieved one finally, is how I feel right now.
All right, yeah, one step closer to making these a reality, man. So very nicely done. And what was very nicely done was obviously the performance you had against Dominator. I mean, you were the dominant one out there. You kind of stole his nickname with that victory and that performance. I mean, just looking back on it now, like, how happy were you with it in terms of, what you accomplished in there and went out to do? Just your feelings on that performance now, having had time to, take it in. I'm sure you've watched it a bit too.
この前の試合はドミネーター相手に結局ドミネートしたんで、彼のニックネームを取り上げた形の試合内容になりましたけども、具体的にあの試合でやれてよかったなと思うこととか、例えばまた反省点とか、もうちょっと噛み砕くとどういった感じになるでしょうか？
そうですね。正直 KO はいつでも狙えた状況ではあったんですけど、自分の中では、次なるステップアップっていうか、試合をしながらレッスンをしてるような感じで、またMMA を、ああいう、なんていうんですかね、支配した試合を3ラウンド通して15分間できたっていうのは、やっぱ自分の中で、すごい、いい、かなり強みのある経験になったのじゃないかなと思いました。
Well, obviously, I was looking for a knockout, and it's nice to have a KO. But at the same time, that's the fight that I was able to dominate for the entire 3 rounds. So it was almost like I was fighting, but going through a learning lessons at the same time. So in that sense, I think that it was a very good fight for me.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I mean, you didn't manage to get the knockout, and I want to ask, like, were you surprised about that? Because you might have set like some kind of MMA record just across the sport overall for knockdowns, because I don't know, I couldn't keep track of how many you got on him with the first round, the third round. Like, it was very surprising to me that, he wasn't finished there. How surprised were you? I'm sure more than all of us.
ちょっと彼も言ってるのは、細かくカウントしてないんですけども、もしかしたら MMA 仕様であんだけいっぱいノックダウンを奪っているのに、最終的にはノックアウトできなかったのは初めてなんじゃないかっていうぐらいノックダウンを奪ったと思うんですけども、そこまでやってノックアウトできなかったってことに関してはどう思いますか？
そうですね。あれはでも本来であれば、向こうのセコンド陣から、タオルというか、バトンが投げられて TKO で止められるんじゃないかなとは、もう3ラウンド目、相手選手もふらついてはいたんで、思ったんですけど、僕の中で最後まであれを 逆に KO というか隙を見せずにあれをやり続けることに意味があったんで、まあすごい恐怖は見せれたのかなと思います、ファイターとしての。
Well, in terms of a stoppage, I think it was his cornerman's responsibility to throw a towel, but I guess it's a button in the rising. But from my point of view, I was able to control and show everything. So I was able to show a fear to my opponent. So and also to the fans that I can show you that type of a style of fight. So in that sense, I think it was very good.
Yeah, I mean, very patient, very methodical approach by you, and it was very clear that he did not want anything to do with your striking. And I mean, did he even hit you in like the first two rounds? He obviously was able to he knew he needed to turn up in the third round, but watching it, I feel like he didn't land a single thing on you in the first two rounds.
あれを見た感じですと、もう全くかすってもいなかったっていう感じがしたんですけども、初めの1、2ラウンドは、ドミネート選手のストライキングって当たりましたって聞いてるんですけども。
は、全部こう、なんていうんですかね、かすりっていうかこう、ほんと全部こう、自分のそのパンチを当てるためのスペースを作って、そこにドミネーター選手がこうパンチで入ってきた、その空間を作って当ててたんで、全部見えたし、もらってもなかったですね。確かにすごい、まあ、驚くほど集中力が高くて、全部ゆっくり見えました。
Well, he might have glanced a little bit, but I was able to set up a range where I can land my strike. That's that range the Dominator came in for me. So, to me, I was very surprisingly, I was able to concentrate everything and I watched all of his striking and I was able to clearly watch everything. So to answer your question, no, there's no clear hit landing on the first couple of rounds.
All right. Yeah, I didn't think so, man. It was kind of like, I don't know if you're big into movies or anything, or if you've seen The Matrix, but it was like you kind of channeled your inner Matrix there.
まあ、映画を見てるかわからないですけど、マトリックスのようにこう一瞬でこうファッて受け起きるような感じですかね。
でもそうですね。すごい、こう、その打撃をやり合わないといけないその空間というか、その距離感は、すごい自分の、独壇場だと思ってるんで、まあ自信がすごいあったからこそ、すごい、本当にゆっくり感じました。
Yes, it was like that because I was trying to create this my own range and space that where I can land my striking, which is my own world. So, it's sort of like that. So it was like a slow motion. I saw everything clearly.
Yeah, very awesome stuff there, man. And now you fought in the cage and the ring in MMA. So I'm kind of curious, like, did that play any factor for you at all? Was that kind of weird to adapt to at first? Just how did you take kind of the enclosure change for this fight?
どうですかね、これでリングとケージ両方で試合したことになるんですけども、平本さんにとって今回このケージでやってみたとか、そういうことに関してなんか違いとか、なんか違和感とかなんかありましたか？
そうですね。やっぱケージの良さってやっぱ、檻の中に入ってしまうと、観客の顔も見えなくなるというか、リングと違う、本当にこう、今からこう、戦うんだっていう、その集中力が増す感じがすごい僕は好きなんで、次のケージでやりたいなとは、はい、思います。
Well, I mean, cage to me, once you're locked up in that cage, I can't even see the audience face anymore. And you get that sense that you're ready to go. It's a real fight in a cage. So I actually prefer fighting in a cage. So for the next fight, I do prefer fighting in a cage show.
All right, there we go, man. And it doesn't matter whether it is ring or cage, though. Every time out, we see the same introduction for you, Ren. We always get the now vintage, the famous middle finger that you introduce your opponents with. And I'm sure you get asked about this a lot, but what's the inspiration behind that? Why do you do this to everybody you fight?
あとはじゃあちょっともう一つ聞きたかったことは、試合の前のコールの時に必ず中指を立てますけども、あれってどういったところのインスピレーション、どういったところにこう触発されてやることにしてるんですかね？
まあ、世の中に向けて、中指を僕は立て続けてます。
Sorry. He's putting a middle finger against everybody in the world, the entire society.
Okay, all right. What'd they do to you? Why are you doing it to them?
その社会のどういったところに頭が来てるんですかね？なんでそういうふうに？
まあ僕は日本で唯一のアナーキーなので、そういう、はい、気持ちをこう試合を持って パンクロックを表現したいなという気持ちです。
Well, I consider myself as an anarchist. So it's sort of like a punk rock kind of music scene, the mentality that I have to rebel against the world.
All right, yes, very fitting, very punk rock indeed, man. And you got the tattoos to go with it. So I want to ask you about those because it's great artwork you got, man. Like, what was your first tattoo? And then I gotta know which one is your favorite if you could pick one, because I know you got many.
タトゥーいっぱいあるんですけども、一番初めにつけたタトゥーは何かというのと、今自分の中にあるタトゥーで何が一番好きですかっていう質問なんですけど。
一番最初のタトゥーはこの右手のファイヤーパターンタトゥーで、
That's my first pattern. That's my first tattoo. It's a fire pattern tattoo.
一番好きっていうか、全部入れ墨は全部お気に入りではあるんですけど、海外の人からやっぱすごい受けるのはこの首に入ってるカクタスジャックってトラビス・スコットのレベルのタトゥーが一番海外の人ですごい受けるかなっていう印象です。
Well, in terms of like fans in overseas, I feel like this Cactus Jack tattoo I got, I think it's probably the favorite from the overseas fans.
Yes, very nice indeed, man. And yeah, I only have some on my arm here, but I gotta ask, like, are the neck ones the most painful? I would imagine it wouldn't feel very good when those are getting done.
彼もその右手のところにあるんですけども、この首の周りのタトゥーってそれやるとき痛くなかったですかって。
首の時は痛かったんですね。入れてる時に、唾とか飲み込むと、こう、喉がこう動くんで、よりこう、すごいこう、怖かったというか、でも、首よりも背中の入れ墨入れた時の方が痛かったです。
Well, it was a sore, and at the same time, and every time I like swallow my saliva, it moves, so it kind of add to the soreness, and I was actually even scared. However, in terms of pain itself, I think the back was much more painful than the throat.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, more to work with there, a larger surface area. So that certainly makes sense, man. But no fun either way. It's fun to look at them afterwards, but the process is the least fun part, right?
まあ基本的に背中はやっぱり大きいですからね、痛いと思いますし。
そうですね。背中の筋彫りは1回でやったんですけど、11時間ぐらいかかって、失神しました。
Well, my first back tattoo, it took about 11 hours to finish, and I lost my consciousness.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's that makes sense, man. That's crazy. So, a long time indeed. But anyway, Ren, as for the MMA stuff, man, I know that what was it last year, I believe you did some training over in America with Rufus Sport, right? And Sergio Pettis and those guys. Obviously a great bunch to train with. So I just got to ask, like, how was it working with them? Like, how much did you learn? I don't know if you did preparation with them for this camp or if you're planning to again, but just like, what was that experience like with them?
どうですかね、去年ルーファスポーツに行って、練習してみて、全体的にそこでの経験ってどんな感じでしょうかって。
そうですね。やっぱこう、セルジオとの出会いは自分の格闘技人生のターニングポイントになったというか、彼がいたからすごいアメリカは特別なものだったし、格闘家としてのあり方をこう、真髄というかこう、すべてこう、教えてくれた人なんで、またすぐ会いたいなという気持ちはあります。
Well, I'm telling you this, that meeting Sergio Pettis is like a turning point of my career. He taught me everything about the approach towards MMA fights and everything else. So that is something, it's very life-changing for me. So I'm really looking forward to go back there again to meet and to work out with him soon.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He's a great striker himself, as you are. And, when you're a great striker like that, you obviously kind of need to learn the elements of wrestling and like the defense, the takedown defense to go along with it so that you can get the strikes off maybe more effectively. And, we really saw that in your fight here with Dominator 2, where defended him very well, got on top of him in some moments defending. Like, how much did Sergio maybe help you with, some of these techniques to defend wrestling better, and just how big of a focus has that been for you to, add that to your game, obviously?
セルジオも、どちらかというとストライカーであって、そうなるとやっぱりレスリングのテイクダウンを防御するディフェンスっていうのがやっぱり、キックっていうのがやっぱり一番キーの一つになってくると思うんですけども、そういった点でも、前回の試合はそのドミネーター選手に対してしっかりと全部タックル切れてましたが、 そういったことでは、セルジオとは何か話したりとか、いろんな、どんな練習をしたとか、そういったことなんかありますか？
やっぱこう自分のレスリング力をついたら間違いなくアメリカの修行期間で基礎というか、すごい仕分け上げられたんで、僕はどっちかというと、そのグラップリングのスタイルが、レスラー寄りというか、なんていうんですかね、北米のレスリングの技術がやっぱ自分の打撃のスタイルにこうマッチするなっていうのもあるんで、あの、やっぱその、なんていうんですかね、ストライカーだからこそレスリングはすごい、大事だし、セルジオもやっぱすごいレスリングが上手いし、日曜日とか、練習が休みの日も、セルジオはずっと練習付き合ってくれてたんで、すごい、今になって活かせるようになってきたと思います。
Well, I mean, obviously, wrestling is very important, and Sergio works very hard on the wrestling itself. And my wrestling is something I learned in America first. They really taught me what the wrestling is all about, and they really molded me. And really, I went through a hardship there. But Sergio, same thing, and because he's a striker, but also he realized that wrestling is very important. He's a very good wrestler as well. And even the Sundays, when there was no training, Sergio was nice enough to train with me on, and I learned a lot from that too. So, when I look back on those days, yes, that was those days that I really started learning what wrestling in MMA is all about.
Yeah, definitely saw that with the last performance, man. It's very cool to see, the growth of Ren Hiramoto in MMA. So, man, I gotta wonder, like, when do you want to fight next? You obviously didn't take very much damage in the last fight, so I'm sure you're ready to go whenever. But like, when are you hoping to? Do you have somebody in mind? What are you thinking right now for the next time we can see you?
どうですかね、次はいつ試合したいですかつって、彼は前回の試合でそんなにダメージはなかったみたいですかって聞いてるけども、多分怪我のこと忘れてると思うから、それも含めて次。
そうですね、怪我しっかり完治したら、試合ももちろん、この試合感かなり掴んできたからこそやりたいっていうのもあるんですけど、やっぱ僕はアメリカで修行をこうちょっと、また今のタイミングで行ったら見える景色がまた違うんじゃないかなっていうのもあるんで、もっとこう強くなりたいですね。
Well, I mean, remember, I was injured before the fight, so I re-injured my foot too. So I have to heal that injury first. And of course, now I'm back on a fighting mode, and I'd like to get on this momentum and fight as soon as possible. However, I still would like to go back to America and train because right now, at this stage of my career, if I go back to America, I think I can see a different scenery, in terms of different training and stuff like that. So I would like to do that too.
Yeah, very good point, man. And definitely a lot to kind of, worry about and take care of, first of all, right? So that makes sense. And I guess that kind of answers my next question maybe a little bit because obviously the focus is continuing to grow in MMA. But man, at the same time, Ren, like everybody knows about your fantastic kickboxing background, just how good of a striker you are. And we recently saw Floyd Mayweather come back and fight in a boxing match exhibition for Ryzen. And then Koji fought, his bodyguard, all this crazy stuff happening with the exhibition boxing scene happening in Ryzen again and whatnot. So like, I'm curious, are you interested in like getting in on that at all? What, you were in Hawaii for the press conference, correct me if I'm wrong, but is it interest you at all to be a part of these boxing matches and stuff that's going on in Ryzen?
今、MMA ファイターとしてやってるのは分かるんですけども、平本さんのその K1 ファイター、キックボクサーとしての実績を考えたりだとか、この前ハワイの記者会見に顔出してメイウェザーと絡んだりだとか、で今メイウェザーが最近日本でまた歴史やって、で、コージ選手がデュバイで試合やってって、そういうことが起きてますけども、平本さん自身は、例えばメイウェザーでも、誰でもいいですけども、そういったボクシングの歴史だとか、ストライキングのルールでの歴史みたいなのに、今の時点では興味ありますか？
でもまあ、僕やっぱ MMA がすごい好きなんで、ボクシングはあんまり興味ないですね。
Well, I really like MMA, so I'm not really interested in boxing at all.
Yeah, totally fair. I think we want to see you continue with MMA too, but it's just one of those options now, right? It's nice to have options.
もちろん彼もあなたの MMA ファイターとしてのこれからは見たいんですけども、違ったオプションもあっていいかなと思って質問しました。
ファイトはね、しないですか？
And I think it all depends on the fight money, which is a purse I'm going to earn too.
Yes, that's definitely very fair and well put. So, I mean, when we look back on it though, Ren, now at this point, 4 fights in on your first winning streak in MMA, when you look back at when you first got into MMA, like how difficult was the transition for you at first?
今、こうやって2連勝して、やっと MMA が分かってきたと思うんですけども、今、ちょっと振り返ってみて、初めて MMA やった時に一番難しかったことって何でしたかね？
単純にやっぱぶつかり合いというか、やっぱ K1 キックボクシングはこう、殴り合って蹴り合う競技ではあるんですけど、ぶつかり合いというのは正直あまりないというか、近い距離もこうガードをお互いこうくっつけ合ってこう殴ったりする、もう掴みが禁止だったんで、とにかく。だからこう、癖でこう掴まないようにしようって、いつもこうやって距離感をこう開けちゃう癖があったんで、最初のやっぱ MMA のそのぶつかってくる人のコントロールっていうのは、すごい大変だったんですけど、逆にそれを理解できたからこそ、今の自分の強みを最大限に活かせてるかなとは思います。
Well, very first thing I was shocked about MMA was the smashing aspect. They bang on you, because the K1 is different. We're kicking and punching, but in K1 rules, we're not really allowed to grab the opponent. Therefore, I always train to make sure to not grab, keep my distance to kick and punch. But in MMA, they'll bang you right to the point, And even the close distance in K1, you kind of put your heads to the other guys and kind of punches, right? No grabbing, no banging. But in MMA, you do that. But because of the fact that I realize understands this concept of banging, I think I can maximize my ability in MMA now.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. I mean, you think about, the inability to clinch upright, and the referee is always separating you and not, he's preventing that. So I'm sure that was definitely a big adjustment as you were getting into a sport that is kind of all about that, right?
基本的に言ってることはやっぱり K1 だとクリンチとかに入るとすぐレフェリーにブレイクアップされるんですけども、MMA は逆にそこからがスクランブルのが一番大切なこと一つになるんで、やっぱりそこがいっぱい違ったってことですかね。
そうですね。あとやっぱ総合格闘技というか MMA は、行かれてるやつが多いんで、すごい、寝技の部分もちろんそうだし、打撃に関してもこう、キックボクサーがこう殴ったら殴り返してきたりとかっていうのが、ラリーが、打撃のラリーがあるんですけど、もう総合格闘家殴ったりすると、うわみたいな、吹っ飛んだりするやつとかもいるんで、すごいいろんなタイプがいるからこそ、深い競技だなと思います。
Well, I think in general, MMA fighters are more crazier in a sense that, for example, if you're kickboxing, if you hit, they'll hit you back. So it's like a tennis rally, like you go hit, right? But MMA, if you hit, some guy could just do jumping knee on you or like something more drastic. So they're more wild. That's what's a great thing about MMA.
Yes, we definitely love that unpredictability. It's definitely one of the best parts about the sport. And we see it in every fight pretty much, man. So couldn't agree more with you there. But I mean, just when we look at combat sports as a whole, Ren, obviously been a big part of your life. So got to give you a tough question here. If you never got into combat sports, what do you think you'd be doing now? Would you be in a punk rock band? Would you be a tattoo artist? Something else? What do you think you'd be doing instead?
どうですかね、今この質問するのに答えるのは難しいかもしれないですけど、もしも全く格闘技をやってなかったら、何やってると思いますか？パンク、ロックのミュージシャンとか何やってると思いますって。
結局でも格闘技やってんじゃないですかね、でも。
but even though I go through many things, I will probably end up doing fight sports. 格闘技.
It's just who you are, right? It's a party. So it's always a tough question when I ask people that one. They don't usually know what to say. So, but anyway, man, last thing I will leave you with here, Ren, the long-term goals. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you want to be Rising champion, go on to collect a bunch of belts in MMA, just have, rack up the longest winning streak you possibly can. I mean, at least I would assume, but you tell me, like, what are the long-term goals in your MMA career, which is still, way ahead of you, still very young. What are you hoping to achieve, years from now?
どうですかね、これからライジンのチャンピオンになって、いろんな他のベルトも取ってとか考えてるかもしれないですけども、長期的な最終的な自分のゴールっていうのはどこにあって、どういうふうになりたいですか？
もう絶対的 UFC でチャンピオンになりたいですね。日本の国内でその絶対的な立場を手に入れて、それを引っ提げてUFC で本当強豪たちとぶっ飛ばしてチャンピオンになるっていう自分の中で、はい、勝手に映画みたいなストーリーを思い描いてるんですけど、できると思います。
Well, definitely, I would like to be a UFC champion, but I would like to establish myself as an absolute figure in Japan first. Then we'll go to UFC and beat all these top guys and became a champion. So I'm watching myself sort of like a movie, but I think I can achieve that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, man, look, we've already seen some rising champions do that. Yuri Prohaska's the most recent case, a light heavyweight. I'm sure you've been watching him a little bit.
イリーみたいにライジンチャンピオンになってから、ね、UFC チャンピオンになった選手もいるわけですから、どうですか、やっぱり彼とか見て意識してますか？
そうですね。やっぱイリーとかも日本の武道を感じさせるファイトというか、やっぱすごいクールなファイターだなと思うんで、自分もあと追いたいなっていうのはあります。
Yes, I'm really like Erie because he's a type of fighter that gives you this sense of a budo, So I like that. So I'm looking forward to be like him in the UFC.
Definitely, man. Can't go wrong with that either. Your guys' fighting style is always very fun to watch. So a good career path to try and follow what Yuri's doing. So yeah, definitely can't go wrong there, man. But all right, Ren, we can leave it off there. Appreciate you taking the time so much. Great getting to chat with you for the first time. And congrats again on the great performance against Dominator. And congrats on the winning streak now in MMA. Good stuff there. Looking forward to what you got next, whenever that may be. Hope you heal up. Just continue enjoying the splendors of the victory and whatnot, man. So I appreciate you. Big arigato gozaimashita. And just hope you have a great rest of your day, sir.
今日はいろいろありがとうございましたというと練習して、これからもキャリア楽しみにしてますので頑張ってくださいということで。
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And last but not least, it is the mercenary, AJ McKee.
All right, AJ, what's up, man? How are things?
I'm tired and sore, bro.
Yeah, it looks like you're chilling.
I'm about to take a nap after this.
I hear you. I won't keep you too long then. Don't want to disrupt nap time. Very important.
Good.
So how was the trip to Japan, man? Obviously, a lot of crazy things going on. Very cool. I mean, sure, it was a good time.
Yeah, it was a super, super awesome trip, man. Everyone's so respectful out there. The combat's world, they love their combat sports, you know what I mean? So they glorify the fighters, the athletes, just to a whole nother level. The respect that they have for the athletes is just, there's nothing like it. It's real.
Yeah, absolutely. Was that your first time getting to go there just for anything?
Yeah.
Nice. So did you get too much exploring, or was it like, all right, just a couple days for the press conference and stuff?
Just a couple days for the press conference, but I hopped on his train and did a little bit of clothes shopping. That's about it.
There you go, man. And I mean, what was the press conference itself like? Because obviously it's just different, right? It's different over there with how they do things, especially compared to, I guess, some of the more traditional U.S. press conferences that we see.
Yeah, it was different, man. It was a packed press conference, which was crazy. I almost wanted to say arena, but it was like an arena. You know what I mean? There's just so many people there just to hear what you have to say. It was just different, man. It was really different. Everyone, you know what I mean? They're so tuned into what you're saying and what you're doing, and it was probably one of the more serious press conferences, I would say.
Do you like that compared to, I guess, kind of the wackiness we can get between, certain personalities over here?
Yeah, I don't mind. The entertainment aspect of it on our end over here it's always fun. You get to fuel the fire, talk a little bit of smack, and it gives the fans something to kind of look into a little bit,
Yeah, definitely. Always stories for every fight and whatnot. And speaking of entertainment, though, man, the last win, congratulations on that against Spike Carlisle. Some crazy stuff. And, I feel like this is a common thought about your performance, but it seemed like you were really, really trying to make a statement with that one. He's just a very, very tough guy to put away, obviously. But would you say that was kind of the goal there, was to go out and just absolutely dominate the guy the way you did?
Yeah, it was just dominate. I wanted pure dominance. I wanted to finish him, just because he was a guy that hadn't been finished by anybody before. So it's always about the statement, you know what I mean? Go in there and leave a statement. So it was a fun fight, great victory. Just back to the drawing board, bigger, better, and keep leveling up. That's the whole motto. Every fight, switch up and change up so they don't know what to expect.
Yeah, for sure. Keep them on the toes. And I mean, that fight gave us a great still shot, you know, the photo of him like bleeding next to you and everything. Like, I'm sure you've got some personal favorite photos from your career and everything, but where does that one rank? That's a great shot right there.
When I actually saw that picture, I was like, "Oh, that's a sweet shot." I was like, "I wish I had a shot like that." And I was like, "Oh, well, he was a bit bloody. You don't want to be bloody like that." But yeah, man, the photographers they capture some of the craziest moments that we're under in those times of battle, and I think our facial expression said all. You know what I mean? One face, it can just be a grunt, just like, "Ugh," like I'm trying to give it everything I've got, and then the next one, it's like, oh, I got a little finesse here. So the smile comes out. You know what I mean? You get to see so much in our facial expressions.
That's the contrast and like everything MA can bring out of you, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. And I mean, speaking of those feelings, like with this opportunity, you know, fighting in the Rizin ring and being a part of this big thing with Bellator versus Rizin and all that, like, was this something that you ever expected to be a part of? Because obviously Bellator and Rizin have been working together for a couple of years now, and we've seen fighters go back and forth. Obviously, Kyoji's the best example as he's been champ of both promotions and whatnot. But like, what was the feeling like for you just getting presented with the idea and the opportunity? Then once it was made official and all, like, super exciting for you, or was it just like another fight? How are you treating it?
No, for me, it's super exciting. You know, since I was young, I've always spoke about unifying the belts, bringing all the fighters together, and seeing who the best of the best is. So with this opportunity at hand, I think it's phenomenal. You know what I mean? It just goes to show that once again, the fighters are the fighters. You know what I mean? And where we make the organization, and it doesn't matter where you're at, but you know, some organizations, they have the best fighters in the world, period, regardless where you're at. And yeah, just being able to test myself against another organization's champ in a new division. I think it's dope. You know what I mean? It gets to show me where I stand at the 155-pound division. This dude's no rollover. He's no slouch. So yeah, I'm looking forward to going in there and having some fun. And I get to soccer kick people in the head legally. Awesome, dude.
I don't know. Can't beat that. It's a level up in violence a little bit, isn't it?
Definite. Maybe 2-3 levels.
Yeah, a couple there. And also New Year's Eve, man. Like, just that's a big thing in Japan and MMA in general. Like, always kind of a big deal for them over there, going back years and years ago to kind of the start of the sport. But I mean, on top of that, like, kind of a vacation for you at the same time. Juan, I was talking to earlier, said he'll be there for Christmas. I don't know if you'll be there at the same time, and then obviously over the New Year's part. But is that like a cool thing for you to get to have not only everything that's going on with, you know, the idea of this event, but the fact that it's for a New Year's show, like, makes it even bigger?
Definite. New Year's has always been. I've always enjoyed New Year's, but being able to fight on New Year's in a different country, it's like, that's like cream of the crop, you know what I mean? And it's Japan. Like, since I was a kid, the Risen, the Pride, you know what I mean? The Pride, all those glory days. So for me, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And yeah, I wouldn't rather be on any other place in the world unless I'm on a mountain snowboarding for New Year's.
Oh, there you go, man. Are you big into snowboarding? I didn't know this.
Oh yeah, I love snowboarding. It's cars and snowboarding for me. Mainly cars. Snowboarding's just like a fun little hobby I do.
Right.
It's a seasonal thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, can't do that as much as driving or things with cars. So I hear you there.
That's year round.
Yeah, totally, man. I mean, my favorite thing about snowboarding and whatnot is, like, it's just an escape, man. You know, once you get good enough, obviously it sucks a little bit in the beginning if you're not very good, but just getting out on the mountain and kind of disconnecting, obviously, from the world, it's a great escape for sure.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful scene every time, man. You can just sit there on the top of the mountain and look over at all the other mountains. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful sight. So, you know, you got to sit back sometimes and just enjoy the view that's at hand. And snowboarding, there's no other place. You know what I mean? You get tired. All right, let me sit down. People are flying past you, and you're just chilling. You know what I mean? In your own world. So, yeah, snowboarding's awesome, man. I love it.
Yeah, totally. And are you somebody who goes for the jumps, or you kind of take it a little more chill than that?
Oh yeah, I'm hitting every feature possible. If I see a feature, I'm going for it. If I have the momentum and the speed or not, we're gonna figure it out.
I think we should maybe not tell Bellator about this.
Dude, my first season, I was throwing backflips.
Really?
Doing backflip 180s. Yeah. So Bellator is aware.
Yeah.
But you know, It's like, don't hurt yourself, AJ. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be good until I hurt myself.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's awesome, man. So, like, this is usually a question I leave kind of for the end, but I mean, just springboarding off of it, like, if you never got into MMA, would you try to be a professional snowboarder? Is that something you would do?
Honestly, I'd probably try to be a race car driver.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I'm looking forward to doing and settling down, retirement, and just try to get on the track because it's the same. It's the same type of adrenaline you get from fighting. The difference is you're on a track. You know what I mean? The angles, the precision, the timing, like all of that is what makes a great fighter, and it's also what makes a great driver. So. For me, it's just learning how to drive. I need to learn how to drive. I need hours on the track, like I've spent hours in the gym.
Yeah. So would you think like NASCAR or something else?
Nah, I got F1.
Okay, yeah.
Full force, baby.
No, I don't know if I've heard
force.
people say that.
Hey, honestly, I would be happy with any F series, just making it into an F series. But yeah, outside of that, man, if I wasn't fighting, I would say I would be a military of some sort, probably some special forces or something. That's where the name mercenary came from.
There we go.
You know, so yeah, I'd be out there serving my country, fighting for my family. Got to be a fighter somewhere.
Right, exactly. But yeah, I don't have to think about these other options because you're a pretty damn good fighter as is, man. So with that in mind, I mean,
still always a pondering thought.
Yes, of course. It's good to have options. So, but yeah, Satoshi's the next guy in your way. The next one you're looking to get out, the lightweight champ, man. So like, whenever it's a non-title fight, but you're going against a champion, I'm sure, you still treat it as a title fight anyway. That's how at least I look at him. So great guy, one of the best in the world, like you were saying, along with yourself, and a very, very unique challenge. Obviously, amazing jiu-jitsu. I mean, first of all, though, just like how much do you know about him? Have you been following him a little bit leading up to this?
Leading up to it, I've been watching a few of his fights, trying to scope out what he does, how he acts in the cage, what he does, body movement, body language, things like that. Yeah, dude's got phenomenal jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? So I've never fought anybody with this caliber jiu-jitsu. It's going to be intriguing to see where our wrestling stands. You know what I mean? Obviously, I've been wrestling my whole life, so he wrestles, but it's not like your traditional wrestling. You know what I mean? It's more of like a grappler wrestling. So I think the big key for me is going to be trying to neutralize that and capitalize on his way out. You know what I mean? Get a nice soccer kick in the way out or something.
Yeah, exactly. Catch him there. And that's always the most intriguing thing to me about like these types of matchups for you guys when you're going against the serious specialists like him, like he's getting better at doing everything, but obviously what he's very best at is, his ground game and submission ability. So for you, like when you approach that, how much do you like want to play around and test yourself, going in the grappling with him? Is it like a little bit just so you can get that confirmation that I can hang there, or do you like want to beat him in that area? How do you kind of look at it? Because obviously some would say not the smartest way to go about it when that's what people are going to favor him in that area.
I mean, obviously you want to test the waters a bit, but I feel like all that comes from the training camp. You know what I mean? Trusting in my teammates, trusting in my coaches, and just knowing they're putting me through the trenches in the ringer every day. You know what I mean? So when it comes time to actually putting myself in that situation, that I'm more than comfortable to feel whatever's at hand, whatever he's trying to pull off, and yeah, just maneuver through it the best that I can.
There you go, man. And
but obviously, I'm not trying to go down.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, what's up, player? How you doing?
You pull guard on him.
Like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. Save that for training together or something.
Yeah, we could do that after.
Yeah, for sure. But I mentioned the title element with him being the champion, AJ. Like, if you go out there and beat him, though, would you want to like challenge to actually become the champion in Rizin in a rematch, or is it just like, we'll just do it this way, and you'll worry about your Bellator business and maybe fight for the lightweight title afterward instead in Bellator?
The titles are always key, with the accolades of being a world champ in multiple organizations. My first thing that came to mind was like, oh, I'm getting another belt. So for me, you know what I mean? I'm damn, it's 3-5. Like, no, smack on the knee, you know what I mean? But for me, it's keeping that same mindset that it's a championship bout, Obviously, Bellator has me representing Bellator. because they feel like I'm the man for the job. So me keeping that in mind is me knowing I'm the man for the job, regardless who has a belt, who has the 155-pound title. I'm the person that's representing Bellator, so it's coming in there and treating it as if I'm the champ and this is a championship bout. Um, that to me, it's undefeated's a mindset. You know what I mean? It's not really a record. It's what you're capable within yourself. So I'm still undefeated in my eyes. I don't care what anybody says. And it ain't no Sean O'Malley undefeated. I'm undefeated, all right? Like we're coming for it. And yeah, that's the thing, man. I just want to go out there, put on a great show and bring home that victory. And get a finish, man. I need a finish. I'm fiending for a finish.
All right, there you go. And I mean, many more ways to do it with the added elements on the ground too. So, what would be ideal for you? Would you love like one of the soccer kick stomp finishes, like because you can't get them in Bellator, so that's the one you want.
Definitely, dude. If I get like a flying knee knockout or a knee knockout or a kick knockout, soccer kick, I would be happy with any of those. I think the big thing for me is being cognitive of my elbows. I'm such an elbow striker. When I get in the heat of that moment and I get tired, to not throw an elbow is going to be like, all right, dude, you know what I mean? So I've been very cognitive of it in practice, and I'm just trying to get out of a habit that I've had my entire life. And yeah, I'm replacing the elbows with knees, even from like the side, like when people got you in side control, like you don't need to throw elbows, throw a knee. Oh wait, this actually reaches.
Yeah.
So it's just making little adjustments like that. I'm kicking people off of me and then kicking them in the face after. Versus like before, you weren't able to do that. So now it's just like a little double quick tap. You know what I mean? Like a little double tap of the A button.
There you go. So this fight has no elbows, because Rizin in some of the fights they will allow the elbows, but for you guys, that's not the case here.
I don't believe so, but if they do have elbows, oh, this man's in for a world of trouble.
Yeah, because they have been doing them the last couple of years. So unless like,
say less. Then.
Yeah,
we're gonna keep great positive energy of allowing elbows.
Yes, we'll put it out there in the atmosphere. So, but overall, man, like with the element of the ring too, do you think that's more difficult for your style, or do you think it matters at all? Like, how do you approach the actual the ring versus cage?
Wrestling wise, for me, I would say it's a bit more difficult, but this isn't a fight where I'm trying to go wrestle anyway. So it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? I think my style is, I know once I get you against the cage, I'm going to get you down. So I kind of rely on the cage, and I can drive into a double leg and kind of sit there and wait. In a boxing ring, there's no waiting. You have to get in, you have to cut the corner, and you have to get around immediately, or you end up in a bad position. So, yeah, the outside of the ring, outside of that, I don't really see much. You're able to kind of bounce off of the rings a little bit. Not much really going into changing the game plan or anything.
Yeah, understandable. And then there's also the the scoring, the fights as a whole, though, opposed to round by round. Is that something that you think about at all, or prefer? Like, just in MMA in general, how do you feel about that aspect?
I don't know. That sounds sketchy. That sounds sketchy. We're going to judge the fight as a whole. All right, I guess. Hopefully it don't have to go to the judge.
Right,
that's the easiest way to get up out of that madness right there. It sounds cool, judge the fight as a whole, because, I don't know, you got ring control, you got damage control, all of that, I would suppose comes into play a bit more at that moment. Just because you're not just basing, okay, he got a takedown, but he laid there on top. You know what I mean? If I'm causing damage from the bottom, then that could be something a bit more, I've got open guard, just little things that could play into a big key there.
Yeah. A lot of different factors that go into it for sure. So
yeah, knock him out, man.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if you don't need the judges, then who cares? Yeah. And we mentioned kind of watching the Pride Days a little bit earlier. AJ, did you have any specific favorite fighters that you were really always excited to watch?
Rampage, dude. When he got that power bomb, that was like it. That was early. That was like early 2000s. So. Yeah. Anything, the Sakuraba days, dude, honestly, like that, when Pride was doing the tournaments and they would do all the tournaments in one night, that's that true tournament life. Like that's what I grew up on as a kid. So like now we stretch all the tournaments out over a year and all this. Like it's cool, but
not the same.
I'm trying to do it all in one night, like that real gladiator one time for the one time.
Totally. Yeah, it's the commissions aren't as fond of that these days.
I mean, we're gonna get punched. We're gonna suffer brain damage regardless. Like it's, you know what I mean? It is what it is. We're just getting punched. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I understand it. The safety of the fighters. I will say, commissions they've come a long way, and they're doing diligently better and better to work side by side with the fighters and help implement new rules and stuff to kind of take care of the fighters. As long as they don't try to take my elbows away. They take my elbows away.
Can't have it. Can't have it.
Soccer kick, smart move. Getting rid of those, bro. That's career ender. Soccer kicks. It's more like it's like Halloween. You know what I mean? This is the candy bowl. I get to go pick my candy though. You know what I mean? So Snickers, y'all already know I'm having it.
Of course. Anything else? No way. But mentioning like Rampage and Sakuraba and stuff, man, I got to ask you then, like, have you ever had any fanboy moments where like you're a little starstruck meeting some of these guys?
No, I don't think so. I think just because I've spent so much time in the gym as a kid and just always around guys, Rampage, Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, like just as a kid, I saw every legend you could think of. So like, when I see somebody, it's like, even now, like even when I see somebody outside of our fight era and just the fight world, like, oh, it's fucking Holly Berry. I'm like, oh, really? Like, she looks different in person. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just so naive and nonchalant to it. You know what I mean? I don't care. I see people as people. You know what I mean? If you got a good heart, you're a good person, and like that's what people should cherish about you. Not, oh, he's a great actor. Like, okay, cool, he's a great actor. I want to see who this person is to their core. You know what I mean? And that's something I try to always be myself, man. I'm a big lover. I'd say I'm a lover more than I'm a fighter, but I just happen to be damn good at fighting.
Yeah. Well, I think that's definitely a great approach to it, man. Yeah, just do the best you can to treat everyone the same to an extent there for sure. So we need more of that, I would say. But all right, AJ, I'll leave you with one last thing here, man. Been great catching up. Another big lightweight fight coming up. The Bellator title fight is going to be in just a couple of weeks here before we get to that New Year's point. But Patricky and Usman, very interesting one. I'm sure you're going to be watching that. You got a prediction for it? Who you think's going to come out on top?
I don't know. I wonder if Pitbull's brother Patricky can neutralize the wrestling. That's going to be a big key. Obviously, I want my title shot. This man, no, nothing against Usman, but like, who's he fought? Nobody. This man got a title shot. Where my title shot at, yo? I need that ASAP. But Benson, I feel like he should be next in line for that title shot. And then I don't know. When my time comes, it comes. You know what I mean? It ain't up to me. It's up to the man upstairs and whoever's doing the matchmaking. Outside of that, you call me with a name and I'm on my way.
Absolutely, man. And got to take out this Rising champ before we can get there. So going to be fun stuff. Looking forward to it. Wish you the best of luck with it, AJ. Just congrats on getting the opportunity and the last one as well, because that was a very good one. But excited for it, man. So I cannot wait. We'll be watching. And like I saed, wish you the best of luck. So I appreciate you taking the time, man. I'll let you get to the nap now because I know I need a nap myself, man. So both go and get a nap in. But
today was sparring, so we put it out today.
There you go. But all right, AJ, I will leave you to it. Thank you so much, sir. And just best of luck.
All right. Thank you. Peace and blessings. Appreciate your time.